Hello, you beautiful creatures. Never gets old. Today, I'm going to be continuing our series where we on This is Improv will show you guys some people from different cultures, people you should check out, or people in history who made the way for the people of these cultures. Today is one close to my heart because we are going to be talking about Cuban playwrights you should know. Obviously, these aren't the entirety of the Cuban playwrights you should know. Just like we did in our last video, we are going to list other playwrights in the description for you to, yes, you right there watching me, to later go and look up afterwards. Because it's art. You should appreciate the art and where it came from. So we are going to start out with a man who is a poet, but has been dubbed one of the best playwrights in all of Cuba. José Jacinto Milanés. He was born in Matanzas, Cuba. José was self-educated. He taught himself how to read, write, and understand the world. He came from humble beginnings. His family wasn't one of the richer families in Cuba during the time. He is a renowned poet, linguist, and writer. So he was claimed one of the best writers from one of his best exponents of Cuban literature with the publication of his magnum opus, El Conde Alarcos. Some of his other works that you should definitely take a look at are El Poeta en el Corte, Por el Puente o Por el Río, and A Buena Hambre no hay pan duro. What's beautiful about José's journey is when he was starting out getting interest in literature, in writing, his family was extremely poor. His father was a peasant at the real hacienda, and his father, no matter how poor they were, saw that his son had potential, and he was able to get together the money he had and buy his son a book of poetry. The book was by Manuel José Quintana. Now, when this memory is recalled in interviews with his family, his brother said that he had tears of joy while accepting this present. And from that day forward, he had dedicated his life to literature. He even went as far as to learn French and English and read poetry from other countries just so he could gain and take in as much information and as much culture and literature as possible. And this is why you should take a look at José. Our next playwright is María Irene Fornes, a Cuban-American playwright who is especially notable in her off-Broadway performances in the 1960s. She is also an amazing director. Maria was first inspired to write while her time living with roommate Susan Sontag. Maria actually helped Susan with some of her most difficult writing stumps. Fornes wrote a wide range of subject matter, but she especially honed in on the economic stance on personal relationships. She has won multiple Obie Awards and was one of the finalists for a Pulitzer Prize winner. So if you know theater, you know Maria because she wrote one of my favorite plays, Fefu and Her Friends, and she has other works like Mud, Letters from Cuba, and Sarita. Now, the reason why she is so well known for Fefu and Her Friends is because it's not only one of the earliest Cuban-American plays that were on off-Broadway, but it was also a majority of a female cast. There was also an alternative use of staging. Maria was born in Havana, Cuba, and then moved here with her mother, 3 brothers, and 2 sisters when she was 15 years old. She started off by working in a shoe factory with her family and later became unhappy with the work, as one who is artistically inclined does, and started taking English classes to become a translator. She got her citizenship in 1951, and after being a translator for a while, she began to take interest in art, and she got to study abstract art with Hans Hofmann in New York City. In 1954, she met writer, model, and artist Harriet Summers. She and Summers became lovers. They moved to France to learn more about art, and one night, Maria had seen Waiting for Godot in France. And though she didn't understand French at all, she still went to go see the show and became inspired by the fact that this art could make such a huge impact on the people surrounding her, and thus began her theater career. So you should definitely check out Maria. Gertrudis Gómez de Avellaneda. She was a 19th century Cuban-born Spanish writer. She was born in Cuba, and in 1863, her family had moved to Spain. This is where she started writing La Peregrina, a series called The Pilgrim. What's amazing about her is that back then, it was very difficult for women to become writers in general, but she had written over 20 plays and numerous poems. Her most famous work is her anti-slavery novel called Sab, published in Madrid in 1841. It's about a slave who is in love with his mistress Carlota, and she is completely oblivious to it. So a little bit of background about her is that when she was 9 years old, her father had passed away, and her mother remarried to a Spanish general, which inclined their move to Spain. She didn't like her stepfather and was extremely glad when he was stationed away for the majority of the months of the year. There were a lot of step-siblings that she had, and she had favorites, her youngest step-brother. At the age of 13, she had been betrothed to a distant relative. Some grandfather somewhere had dedicated his 5th grandson to her and said she would get this land, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line, at age 15, she broke the engagement. She didn't agree with it. She didn't want to marry him. And because she broke off the engagement against her grandfather's wishes, she was left out of his will. Darn. People say that this is the moment of when she became so angry with the patriarchal vision of how women should be treated. She despised arranged marriages, and it fueled her hatred for anything slightly like that. Now, the beginning of her writing was when she moved to Spain. She fell in love with someone, and the main form of communication they had were love letters between the two. These were used as a lot of her prompts for her plays. There were a total of 40 love letters between her and this man, and after his death, she published all of them. She wanted to keep the memory of him, and this is what started her continued writings of poetry. The last writer we're going to talk about today is Nilo Cruz, a Cuban-American playwright and pedagogue. He is most well known for his Pulitzer Prize-winning work of Anna in the Tropics. He was the first Latino honored with a Pulitzer Prize winner of drama. He was born in Matanzas, Cuba. Are we seeing a connection between great writers? Matanzas. His family had immigrated to Little Havana in Miami, Florida. His family was one of the families allowed to go on a freedom flight from Cuba to America in 1970. His interest in theater began in the 1980s when he began to act and direct. He studied theater at Miami-Dade Community College and then later moved to New York. Now, I love what a small world theater is, because when he moved to New York, he studied under the one, the only, the one we talked about 2 seconds ago, Maria Irene Fornes. Fornes recommended Cruz to Paula Vogel, who was teaching at Brown University at the time, and he later received his MFA in 1994. Cruz is an award winner of many theatrical grants and theatrical awards, one of them being the Kennedy Center Funds for New American Plays. Now, Cruz is not only a writer of plays, he is a writer of music, and he works a lot with composers and operas. He's worked with composers like Jimmy Lopez and Gabriela Lina Frank. There are a plethora of songs that he has written or composed. So again, everything is going to be down below so that you can look into him further. So those are the list of Cuban playwrights that you should know. I highly encourage you guys, like I did in the beginning of this video, to please check out the list and just read them. Read what these people have written, see where they came from, see how hard they worked to get to where they are. I want to thank you for sticking with me until the end of the video. Don't forget, if you would like to take any improv classes, writing classes, improv for life, or corporate team building, you can sign up today at www.thisisimprov.com for any of our drop-in classes. If you are wanting to tell us any writers that you find interesting, you can definitely write it in the comments down below and give us something new to look at or read. If you like histories, mysteries, and ghost stories, We specifically have one dedicated to Florida, a podcast called This Is Legends of Yesterday. If you have a story of your own, please make sure to send it into one of the emails linked down below so that you can hear your story on our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up with This Is Improv's journey through the arts. My name is Alexandra with This Is Improv. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.